Okay, class. So now let us talk about financial markets. So this is another lesson for my business finance students. So the topics that we would talk about in this lecture are number one, the functions of financial markets. Number two, the structures of financial markets, and number three, the internationalization of financial markets. Okay. So what is a market? A market is a venue where goods and services are exchanged. Okay, so sa Tagalog, ang market daw, ito yung lugar na kung saan goods and services are exchanged. A financial market is a place where individuals and organizations wanting to borrow funds are brought together with those having a surplus of funds. For example, let's say we are connecting the said customers or who are needing money with the said investors or people who have the same financial capacity or funds in order to sustain businesses, di ba? So what are the different types of financial markets? So we have these physical assets versus financial assets. So physical assets meaning this is where the goods, physical goods are being sold and exchanged between or among people. And when we say financial assets, these are when financial assets such as shares, securities, stocks are being exchanged um, in exchange of a part of the company or ownership of the company. So when we talk about financial markets, we're also dealing with money versus capital. So the difference between money and capital is that capital is being used in the business, while money it is the liquidated form of assets in which you can actually spend it on the normal operating cycle of the business. So for example, let's say money it's a little bit of a shorthand for the term cash, di ba? So you usually spend it on the short-term operating cycle of the business. Like for example, within a year, you're spending money. But when you say capital, you're seeing it in a long-term perspective. Ano, so ito yung mga buildings, equipment, and other physical or other long-term assets na ginagamit mo sa company mo that you're seeking to use for perpetuity. Primary versus secondary, spot versus futures, and then public versus private financial market. So when we're talking about public financial market, you're dealing with land bank, di ba? We're talking about land bank. Pag sinabi ng private, ito yung mga commercial banks or commercial institutions in which they will give you the opportunity to lend or borrow money but for a higher interest rate. So the function of financial market is that it allows transfers of funds from person to business without the investment opportunity, such as in this situation, parang the lender or the saver, to one who has them or borrower and spender. So for example, ng lender or saver is that the BDO, di ba? So si BDO itself acts as a lender or a saver mechanism or financial platform in order for people to save their money and at the same time to be able to lend money to those people who are needing it, di ba? It improves economic efficiency. Kasi without banks or financial markets or financial intermediaries or institutions, we are not going to operate as a society. Bakit? Kasi, for example, let's say si Mr. Henry C. lang yung nakakaipon ng pera. And at the same time, he wants to invest it with other people. So without these financial markets, hindi niya malalaman kung sino yung nangangailangan ng money na pwede niyang magamit as an investment or mag-expand siya ng negosyo, di ba? So, si Henry C, he will be able to use his own money and generate much bigger money if he will, for example, invest it in a business idea or he will invest it in an existing or a booming company that if it expands, it's going to create a large revenue net. So this is the big picture in terms of a financial market. We have what we call the lender, the borrower, and the intermediary. So si lender, magbibigay siya or uh, makakapagpahiram siya ng pera doon kay borrower by the means of intermediaries. That's also the same time with the borrower, intermediary, and lender, di ba? Si borrower, he or she will seek money from the intermediary and the lender will give the said money to the borrower by the means of the intermediary. So why financial markets exist? The markets exist to facilitate the transfer of money between dates and between agents. So the markets exist to facilitate the transfer of risk between agents. Bakit nga ba sinabi natin na the market exists to facilitate the transfer of money between dates and between agents? It's because without the financial market itself, people will be lost, di ba? People will not know the needs of other consumers or other businessmen who may probably be needing the said money or funds. So the financial markets, it's actually a venue where people can look at one another's strengths and capacities, and at the same time needs, in order to match them up, di ba? So financial markets funds transfer. So we have the lender and the savers, households, the business firms, and the government, and also the foreigners, di ba? So this lender saver scheme is what we have currently in the banks. May yung bank, sila yung nagpapautang, and at the same time, sila din yung nagtatago ng pera ng mga tao. Now, regarding sa households, di ba, people exchange money or goods all the time. So, the financial markets are being done in a microscopic view, na kung saan these households um, are becoming part of the financial market itself. So kung kunyari, kung wala yung mga small businesses or mga small cooperatives, paano masusustain or paano mabibigyan ng kabuhayan yung mga maliliit na negosyo, di ba? So we also have business firms and also the government. Yung business firms, nire-regulate siya ng government in order for it uh, to avoid imposing higher interest rates sa mga taong nag-a-avail nito. And at the same time, foreigners, people from other countries or businesses from other countries actually invest in our country. So they're going to expand their operations here. For example, yung business na Grab, 'di ba? So what they did was it opened up its own operations here in the Philippines. That's why yung mga dating mga taxi drivers or yung uh, dating mga drivers na natanggal sa trabaho or di kaya from other people who are seeking employment, they are now becoming delivery drivers for Grab. So it creates opportunities, to generate job employment, and at the same time to facilitate the flow of money in our economy. So I've already talked about this. Next, the segments of financial markets. So direct finance. The borrowers borrow directly from lenders in financial markets by selling financial instruments which are claims on the borrower's future income or assets. Indirect finance, borrowers borrow indirectly from lenders via financial intermediaries, which are established to be source of both loanable funds and loan opportunities by issuing financial instruments, which are claims on the borrower's future income or assets. So, I will continue this lecture after this rain has already stopped. So, thank you.